how we got here, but also okay. But also what I want to emphasize is that just because something is and what things need to be, that
Oh, you're roboting.
You think it's okay or right or just.
Right.
Am I still roboting?
You're better now, yeah.
Okay. So just because we explain how the law works doesn't mean that we want it to be that way, that we're rooting for it to be that way, any of that.
Right.
And I think after we go through this, I want to talk about some of the disturbing things that happen in the fandom.
Okay.
So that everyone knows the film that was sent to Joe and all the incredible, ugly American shit that has been said about Anna.
Yeah, it's been vile.
Let's start with neither of those is okay. We had memo accusing Anna of cheating.
Wait, she did?
I've been and we have officials in the U.S. program talking about the rightful bronze medalist. We have I've been accused of being Romanian several times just for trying to explain how CAS works. Squishy says I'm very quiet compared to you.
Okay, let me turn you up then. How's this? Is it better? Go ahead and talk.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So CAS 1980s by because national sports often lead to legal cases, and it's all served in one court instead of in a billion courts wherever the competition happens to be held. And very early on in the history of CAS, there were validates about the fact that the IOC is paying their bills, and so they were beholden to the IOC. So in the 1990s, there was a reform so that the IOC no longer had any control and no funding on CAS. They're now funded completely by the people who use the court system. And they started doing it immediately. And the best thing to remember is that CAS quite regularly pisses off everybody.
Why? So they do think they're unpopular?
The Russians are unhappy with it. Yeah. Okay. I mean, often the solution is not what anybody wants. So, the IOC did not like that they let Valieva skate.
Right.
The Russians didn't like that they let Valieva get stripped of the medal. The Americans don't like this case. If you can think of a group that has dealt with CAS at some point or another, they have ruled in some way that has pissed them off.
Because they try to be impartial, right?
In a way, right. In a way, that's good. That everyone is mad at them at some point.
It means that you're doing something right. Yeah.
Are you have to understand the logic behind them. Yeah. But once you do, you kind of get it. So I'm going to not the case we're going to talk about right now, but just to give you an idea about the way these rules sometimes work.
Okay.
So CAS is an arbitration court, meaning that they basically have mediators whose job is to find all the facts in the case and apply the rules or laws of the sports to the facts of the case. Mm-hmm. So it's not like
court. It's not
American
a trial.
Courtroom drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a trial. There are no two sides of this.
Oh, actually, wasn't there a case recently where like Disney said that the guy whose wife died on grounds couldn't?
Yeah, they're push for arbitration.
Yeah,
arbitration is generally not good for little guys, and we should point out everyone who goes to the Olympics has to agree to arbitration.
And when you sign contracts, you give away the right to arbitration. By the way, and read your contracts always.
Often, yeah. So, like, everyone who went to the Olympics agreed to be, and they agreed to fast track part of CAS that is called the ad hoc panel.
And that's like a fast track.
Because, right, there are legal cases that have to do with the Olympics that have to be resolved before the Olympics ends.
Right.
And so if you agree to go to the Olympics, you agree to go to CAS, you agree to be in this fast track thing. Other CAS take years. But it is the ad hoc panel at the Olympics is designed to take 24 hours.
Okay.
So let me give you my example case of the way CAS can work in a not intuitive way.
Okay. So
in the 2014 Russian doping scandal from Sochi, the IOC and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, banned a bunch of people because, if you remember that case, there were lab tampering with samples.
Was it the one like they contaminated all the samples so they couldn't really tell?
So Sochi was really wild. There were built-in trapdoors in the lab so that the samples would go into the lab and then people would pass them through the trapdoors walls.
What?
To be replaced by clean samples.
What?
Oh yeah, it's a wild thing. So anyway, a bunch of the doping findings by the IOC and by WADA after this had to do with forensically looking at the sample containers and seeing signs of tool marks where the sample had been interfered with. And CAS ruled that all of those doping findings that only had to do with evidence of tampering with the sample had to be thrown out because WADA didn't have any rules that said they could find somebody guilty of doping based on sample interference.
What a loophole.
But like you can't have people making up rules as they go along.
No, you can't.
But that's the kind of thing that WADA will do. And WADA didn't. That CAS will do, and CAS didn't say these people didn't dope.
It was just
they're just saying
there was
you don't
nothing
have
in
the authority.
Rules. There's nothing in the processes, right. Like kind of like what we're about to get to in this case. There's no processes in place in order for us to decide whether it was or not.
Right. So the thing about CAS is that as written, they don't care what you did in the past. Like if you've been ignoring this rule forever, that doesn't matter to them. And this is all sort of built into Swiss law. And Swiss law does not care about precedent. It does not care about what other judges ruled in the law.
What matters is what happened in the field of play.
Talking about it doesn't matter because
you're roboting, but I'm trying to place the words.
CAS is going to say they have to follow it.
Okay, we got that last part.
Okay. So what CAS is going to say reflexively, if a rule exists, it doesn't matter if you've been ignoring the rule forever. You default in the court case.
Yeah.
This is very rigid. It's very Swiss law. This is the way the Swiss legal system works. It's not the way our legal system works. It's not the way a lot of legal systems work. It is just the way this one does.
But it's like that for a reason.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like that for a reason. It's like you put down processes in the past, and that's how we abide by it. It doesn't matter like what your feelings are. It's like you put this down as like the word of law, but you have to abide by that.
So, I mean, this might be getting deep in the weeds, but one of the things I think that is tripping up a lot of Americans is there is an idea in American legal precedent that says, if you pass a law and never enforce it, is it really illegal?
It's kind of like
that idea does not exist.
Yeah, like,
in this kind of setting.
If it's law, it's law. So it doesn't matter if it's like you can't yell outside after 8. If that's what the law says, you've broken the law. If you yell outside after 8.
Right.
Okay.
So the other thing I want to introduce before we get into the nitty gritty of this is, so you have these sports panels.
Mm-hmm.
The ad hoc panel could have recommended that this case go to the big main panel that takes years to decide cases. And I think they probably should have.
Agreed.
But that was only their call to make. Like, they could have decided to do it. They didn't. That's within their authority.
Yeah.
The people that you appeal a CAS case to are the Swiss Federal Tribunal. They're like equivalent of the Swiss Supreme Court. They are incredibly deferential arbitration cases.
Yeah.
That's why CAS exists in this system. In the 40 years that CAS has existed, the Swiss Federal Tribunal has over cases.
How many cases?
And one of them, when I say something is on the merits.
How many cases have they
Adex
overturned? Hello? Can you hear me?
So you're rebutting, so did I robot?
Yeah, you roboted. But that's why I'm asking how many cases?
So this ever overturned. What?
How many cases have been overturned?
The Supreme Court has only ever overturned 7 cases.
Okay, 7 cases. We got it.
And only once have they ever, 7 cases out of 2,000 plus.
Jesus.
In 40 years. So, which is why I kept saying they're not going to overturn this.
No.
And they've only ever done it once on the merits of the case. Do you know what I mean when I say on the merits?
I want to say it's like if the case has substantial evidence outside of what was decided by CAS.
So the merits are like the factual decisions presented in the case.
Okay.
Like, if a city and there's a witness to the merit of the case. If you say stealing your money isn't illegal, that's a personal discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And the Swiss Supreme Court only cares about your merits. It was about human rights. So the idea that the Swiss Supreme Court is going to look at any of the merits of this is just factually untrue.
Right, because I mean,
they may we'll get into what the USAG is arguing, because I think there is like small chances that you can make an argument there. I don't think they'll succeed, but we'll get there. Okay. So let's look at the actual 3 routines.
Okay, awesome. I'm so excited about this. Catherine's gonna be so excited for me. Like, I really put my foot in this. And I mean, I checked it. I think I'm correct on what I did, but let's see. This damn thing is being weird. Okay, no. Okay, here we go. Browse, and we're gonna pull up. Who do we go first? Anna? We go in order, right, Anna?
Yeah, let's go in order.
Okay, let's go in order. Open, and okay, and here we go.
Competition number?
Oh shit, hold on.
And Babosu,
Cool, and then
the Romanian team finished 10th at the World Championships last year to find their way to Paris now.
No, we're not. We're not going to do that. No. Boop. Me either. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. No. Let me just resize it. There we go.
Whip to immediately.
Yeah, we're started. Okay, and let's see. And restart. Oh, got most panda, right? Completely. She would have been timing it. I mean, if anything, I think it's a little underscored. Yeah, Sabrina next. Sabrina next. Here we go. Here's Sabrina. Here's Sabrina. And this looks the things.
We're just down this path of expecting the unexpected.
And she does look Argentinian in this Leo.
In her second final today.
Not at all. Definitely her mother, yeah. 1000%. Oh, I know. The tapes on her shoulders. Shoot, my God. Pobrecita. She deserves a vacation and a half. Because I want to see. I need her in LA. I agree too, though. But yeah, her mom has done a terrible job pacing her. It's so sad.
We had Becky Downey, and who else retired? I think only Becky Downey.
So far, I haven't seen much because, I'm suspended.
You got to deal with that.
I know. I mean, I have another account. It's Fairy Godfag, but it just, I don't know. I've kind of put off my Twitter.
That's probably not a good professional one to use, though.
I know.
So I don't have a problem with Sabrina not winning this because I think this was sloppy.
It was. But Jordan was sloppier. That's the thing.
So let's wait until Sabrina is done, and then we're going to talk about what should have been done here.
Yeah. Now she does have individual complexity. Yeah.
This is just very checking things, though.
Yo, definitely.
Well, she was fourth on floor at the world's
Okay. Let's stop this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's stop for a moment and establish what her mother did inquire her difficulty score.
She did.
That's what was rejected.
But there is a separate form.
You have to inquire. Yes, neutral deductions are inquired separately, and I've talked to some elite coaches who tell me that this is not an unknown rule, and they have inquired neutral deductions before. So just because we as fans weren't super aware that you could challenge neutral deductions, that doesn't mean the coaches didn't. And apparently, the Romanian press says Camelia didn't notice the neutral deduction.
How do you not notice that? It has its own column.
Because she's incompetent.
She's incompetent, yeah. Yeah.
So, Sabrina's going to be involved in this case, and I don't think she went out of bounds.
I don't either.
I think in general, if you're going to talk about who is rightfully the third place person, it's Sabrina. I'm okay with that not being the answer because of the three routines. I don't like hers the most, but I'm a gym fan, so it's preference.
Yeah.
But once her mother did not, so going back to what Cass does and does not do, if you don't go through every available avenue within the sport Cass isn't going to touch you. And that's what happened with Sabrina. And the Romanians knew this fairly early. They were talking about how they didn't think her challenge was going to succeed.
Yeah.
But like, Camellia has friends who are influential, and they had to go through this because of the politics in the Fed. But even the Fed didn't think her appeal was going to go anywhere.
Can we talk like really quickly about Nadia Comaneci's involvement in all this?
So, what do you think about it? I don't think we've talked about it.
I mean, I think listen, she is the honorary president of the Romanian Federation of Gymnastics. Her role is basically just advocacy, like public advocacy, which is what she did. It's what she did. Now, her and Thomas Bach sitting together, her and Garawi being friends, like this whole situation, it doesn't make her look good. But she essentially did what you expect.
But Thomas Bach didn't do anything.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't. And like the thing
none of the people she was sitting with did anything in this case.
Because this case is handled by a completely different entity, an independent entity. And she did what we would expect a coach to do, or not a coach, someone in of influence in the sport to do, right? So I don't understand why people are so...
She was Shannon Miller arguing for Jordan Childs.
Yeah. Which Dominic Dawes, where you at?
Yeah, so let's take a moment, though, to talk about the sins of the Romanian gym fans and how many of them were or were not Romanians.
Yeah. First famously is you. I'm kidding.
Awful, awful things said about Joe and to Joe, and many of them did come from Romanian fans, but some of them came from racist American trolls who put a Romanian flag in their bio.
And the thing is, there is a way...
Some of them, I am certain, came from Russians.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked at length about how bots can be... Yeah.
Right. So, I'm not excusing the many Romanians who said racist shit at her. I just want to point out that there were other people stirring that pot, jumping on the bandwagon to make this worse.
Yeah, and the thing is, those people who...
I don't blame Nadia for this, and I think American fans who think that Nadia is somehow to blame for this are
ignorant.
They're somewhere else. But Nadia is not going long term. Nadia is not going to be hurt by this.
No.
Nadia is not going to be crushed by America. One of my friends is did the Americans finally understand that Nadia wasn't theirs?
Yeah, right. And I think what is so jarring for a lot of people is the fact that
people calling for her to be deported.
Oh, I know. I think people don't realize it's okay, there's a way to get your anger out about whatever the situation is, but it's never, ever okay to say something about the athletes themselves, unless they do some fuck shit, which happens, Michaela Skinner, but
which none of the athletes in this situation did.
No,
including Nadia.
Exactly, and that's the upsetting part, because it's people. Again, listen, I've been on the other side of getting shit talked on Twitter. I know how vile and vicious they can be. And I'm nowhere near the level of the ladies in the situation. So I can only imagine, if for me it was bad, I can only imagine how bad it must be for Jordan, for Anna, for Sabrina, for Nadia in certain cases. But just we got to do better. We have got to do better.
Who are talking about how Bart Connor shouldn't be able to commentate on UCLA meets anymore, because what did Bart Connor do? Apparently not control his wife.
And that's such an ugly way of saying it too. People are wild, man. Y'all got to do better.
But that's when they say that Bart Connor shouldn't do things. That's the undercurrent of what they're saying.
Yeah, it is, and it's very feminist, very
somehow he's responsible for it. It's all weird. Anyway, so. Nadia doesn't belong to us. Nadia's place in history is not going to be changed by how angry people are right now.
The Americans are not retaliating in LA.
Oh yeah, that's a whole. That's let's wait until after Jordan before we talk about the ugly side of Americans. But I wanted to get the ugly behavior from Romanian fans out of the way.
Yeah.
Since it was mostly in the name of Sabrina, which it sucks because Sabrina had nothing to do with it.
And it's wild. Like, all right, let's go, Jordan.
So let's look at Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of this one. I will. How are we doing on deductions?
Our panel got it wrong.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. And well, I'll get to that here in a second.
14,167 would get her top spot.
Silver ever in the
You think she was pissed?
floor.
You see the shoulders on that landing a little
I mean,
low.
maybe. I don't think Simone reacts well when she
Inquiry on the
loses.
Manica Voinea score.
Here we go.
She's
I don't think she was
steering
pissed
13-7 with
at
a
judges or
10-meter
anybody
close
else. I
effort.
think she was pissed at herself.
Herself, yeah. Her calf. She was pissed at her calf.
Importantly for the Jordan Charles score.
Sabrina's mom looks like a clown.
As always, love her for it.
Well, most of the
Clown shoes and all.
difficulty
No.
score will be either on twisting elements on tumbling.
Inquiry rejected for Sabrina.
Gets all the way down.
Okay. So their inquiry timer starts. Okay. The inquiry time, it starts right there. Okay. You have a minute. Here's your timer in the corner.
Jordan Charles.
Whether it's
There's Cecile.
So Cecile is still standing.
Yeah,
and
okay.
talking.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me back it up. Okay. I'll pause it here in a second. When we get to 13 seconds left on the timer, okay?
one fair and square.
Right there. USA claims that is when the inquiry was verbally requested, okay? That's it, 47 seconds.
And yes, lets the hair down. And there's plenty to celebrate, plenty of hair to let down.
Inquiry timer ends. That is when it's supposed to end. After that, no more. No more, no more. Okay. So then, here's what Romania says that the inquiry was filed by the USA. Okay, people haven't said its inquiry's in. Yeah, it hasn't been announced.
Can we, like,
Manica Voinea. looks
yeah.
like there was
The
no luck with
Romanians
that
thought it
inquiry.
was 1 minute 20.
They put
Oh,
it in
really?
place for her, but
Yeah. But as we're going to talk about this when we get to the Cass case, all of the Romanians' evidence was thrown out.
hearing that Charles has submitted an inquiry.
There, the inquiry hasn't submitted, or that's where it's in the system.
That result.
No.
Yeah, can we? What we find out from Cass is that the superior jury did not relook at the entire exercise because they had scored the exercise themselves in real time. So they only went back and looked at the one element that was under question.
Because on the form, you point out what element you want to see rejudged, essentially.
So they could have looked at everything, but remember that that's mostly because, so if you're Kara Eker in quals in 2019 Worlds, the superior jury isn't just watching Beam, they're watching everything. So the superior jury in quals at 2019 Worlds it had to rewatch all of Kara's Beam routine because there were other things going on at the time. Whereas in this final, there's nothing else going on, so the superior jury was watching it in real time, just like the other judges were. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm looking for where it says, trying to find a part of it that, or they're talking to Donatella, and Donatella says how like they reviewed it in real time, just to back up like these statements.
Yeah.
So, I highlighted a lot.
I'm proud of you for reading it all.
Thank you. Thank you. Here we go.
So what happens is the Romanians have 24 hours to challenge something in the procedures, and they did not challenge Jordan's score.
No.
This is not what this case was about. I mean, I think Camelia's faction of the Romanian Fed did, but like that wasn't going anywhere. That's not the basis for anything they did. What the Romanians said was the US was over time and you only have this amount of time in the rules. So all CAS cared about was, were they overtime?
Yeah. But then I did find it weird how at the beginning they hadn't even included Jordan's name in this dispute, even though you have to by their process. You have to include anybody who is a participant or affected party to your claim.
Yeah, so I think that's mostly, they had when it was first filed, they had basically pro bono lawyers, and then their team was replaced by actual sports lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably just like someone messing up. Like, these things are done fast.
Very fast, yeah. I made a parody skit video of the situation, and they're everywhere. So if you want to see it, you should see it. It's funny.
So, like, they're at a fundamental level, they're only challenging, did CAS follow their own? Did FIG follow their own rules?
Yes. Okay. So let me get to that point.
This central thing, and CAS did not care about the Gojin.
Nope.
CAS did not look at whether Sabrina was actually out of bounds. What CAS immediately said was Sabrina did not avail herself of all of the opportunities within the competition to inquire, so her case was gone.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. So that's the Bornea thing. Here is the okay. It's part 117. It says the panel turns to the merits of the challenge. Article 8.5 of the FIG technical regulations provide that a gymnast coach can submit an inquiry with respect to the D score, provided that the request is made verbally immediately after the publication of the score, or at the very latest before the score of the following gymnast, athlete, or group is shown. For the last gymnast or group of rotation, this limit is 1 minute after the score is shown on the scoreboard. The person designated to receive the verbal inquiry has to record the time of receiving it either in writing or electronically, and this starts the procedure. And then,
so pause. We're all going to agree 1 minute is dumb.
Yeah, because everybody else gets upwards of 3 minutes.
Yeah. So the reason it's 1 minute is that's how much time one person doing one vault would do.
Okay.
But either way, that's going to change. 1,000%. Everyone agrees that's changing.
Yeah, 1,000%. It has to.
So let's not waste any time arguing about how dumb that rule is. Everyone agrees it's dumb.
Yes, even Cass thinks it's dumb. Despite arguing,
thinks it's dumb. Cass thinks it's dumb. Lots of people within FIG thinks it's dumb. FIG's somebody on, I don't remember who it was on Twitter, said that FIG's technical regulations were a house of cards ready to blow down at any moment. We just didn't know it.
Yeah. Okay, so it goes on to argue, despite arguing that Article 8.5 should be interpreted and applied with a degree of flexibility, the respondents have offered no evidence or practice to support the existence of any exception or tolerance to the application of the rule. The respondents do point to an argument by way of analogy, relying on Section 13.1b of the FIG Code of Points. This provides that the duration of the exercise may not exceed 1 minute 30 seconds, 1 minute 30 seconds or 90 seconds, and the FIG WAG help desk statement that the deduction starts with the beginning of the second 91. This provision does not assist the respondents, but rather undermines the argument, as it indicates that where the FIG wanted to provide for a tolerance of flexibility in a time limit, then it did so with an express provision. In relation to Article 8.5 and the 1 minute rule, there is no equivalent exception. The panel notes further that the tolerance in relation to Article 13.1 is of less than 1 full second, whereas the delay in the case at hand is of 4 seconds. In the view of the panel, the words 1 minute in Article 8.5 mean 1 minute, no more and no less.
So let's do this in English. So I'm going to rephrase this for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The Americans claimed that this has always had some leeway in it. There's grace. There is no grace in the rules. The rules are very plain in this. They're dumb, but they're very plain. And FIG contested that there was ever officially any grace. Now, can we talk about 2012 for a second?
Yeah, let's go ahead. London.
So, Ali Raisman's beam inquiry was late in London. It just was.
I didn't know
that. It was 2 seconds late. Do you know what country lost a medal because
Romania.
They did not challenge it? Yeah, it was Romania. So, there is a
Precedent.
lawyer on Twitter. Yeah, so the Romanians lost a medal by not not trying to get this enforced before. And there are people like, why does it matter now and not then? Is it? And I'm going to be like, there are people who say it's race. And I'm like, they lost a medal. Of course, they're not going to repeat the same thing. If the U.S. had lost a medal in London over not advocating for their athletes, would we be questioning why they did that now?
I mean, we forget that there's a whole story. I mean, we've heard Ali say it. We've heard other people talk about this story where like they were yelling at each other from the stands to go inquire. There was money being thrown around. Like it was a whole scene. Like didn't even know about inquiries.
Panor was very unhappy about that because it was Panor.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and I've also seen people say that people haven't objected to scores before this, and it's only because of Jordan being black. And I'm like, Vanessa Ferrari has lots of opinions about the London floor final.
Vanessa Ferrari has a lot of opinions about a lot of floor finals, let's be honest.
Yeah, but like, she has merited opinions of the London floor final.
Yeah.
Because it was a tiebreak.
Yeah. And the thing is like...
And the U.S. has all sorts of opinions about Nastya Lukin's score in Beijing.
I mean, Valerie is the reason why we don't get the scores anymore on the television. Like independent, like the separate scores from the judges. He's why. Yeah.
Valerie attacked a particular judge.
From Australia, right?
The idea that no one has ever questioned a score before is wild, because I can like...
It's delusional. It's delusional.
Yeah. And in fact, the lawyer on Twitter who's been leading this thing is not a gym fan.
That's wild.
They're just like a bored lawyer who was watching the Olympics.
And this has spilled over to like a bunch of the lawyer like creators I follow. Like everybody's talked about this, and everybody agrees that this is. I mean, yeah, this happens because that's the legalese. Like that's how these things are tried. It's by the rule of the law, not by your feelings.
So this is fundamentally it. The rule says 60 seconds. There was a timing that the inquiry officer, who we don't know the name of, and they have gone back to their home planet, which is a whole other problem. Like, Fig is incompetent all over the place here.
Yeah, I want to read this part because this was wild to me. Okay,
go ahead.
So they ask her, like the tribunal asks Donatella, they were like, does the technical regulations of the FIG contain recommendation rules or binding rules on the time frame in which an inquiry can be made? Do you think it's binding that an inquiry can be made in that specific time, or it's more of a recommendation rule? The other case is about the Jordan Childs' inquiry that was proved. This is Donatella speaking, by the way. That was proved to be at 1 minute and 4 seconds. And this article 8.5, if you can read, there is honestly nothing saying that is, I don't know how to say in English, which is okay. First off, why was there no translator for her or interpreter for her? I know she can speak English, but like, still, there should have been someone who spoke Italian. I don't know how to say it in English. It's not compulsory to 1 minute. In this matter, I'm sorry, I have to say that this is an electronic system and it's not manual. So in the moment they enter this first verbal inquiry, I receive automatically because you need to understand how the system works. So there is on the field of play an inquiry table with an inquiry officer with a tablet. The coach goes there and put first a verbal inquiry, and in this for the last gymnast of the rotation, in this case of the competition, to put the verbal inquiry. And then they have 4 minutes time for the written inquiry. These arrives automatically to my tablet. On my tablet arrive also the written inquiry for Ms. Childs. So in that moment, I assumed that the system did not block the verbal inquiry because of outer limit. So I saw the written inquiry and I said, okay, it means it's okay. I proceeded because I cannot control the timing of the inquiries and the difference of the timing. This was the main problem, probably because nobody came to me at the head table look at the verbal inquiry was 4 seconds at a time, and either the tablet, the electronic system, didn't flash in discrepancy. So the moment I receive the second step is my job to work on what I achieve. Now,
so do you want to explain why her tablet did not note that it was blocked?
The system at Worlds automatically blocks at a time inquiries. It sends it back. This Omega system doesn't have that mechanism in place.
So why are they using a different system at Worlds and at...
Because sponsors and money.
Because the IOC requires all timing be done through Omega.
Mm-hmm. And so Omega paid a lot of money for that.
FIG has a specific system made for gymnastics that they use themselves that they were not allowed to use because of sponsors.
And people say like, oh, well, it's been in place since Beijing or whatever. Doesn't matter. Like, you work with the system every 4 years. Things change. Things update.
And you can see where they got training to work with the Omega system. And it was like 4 days before the competition.
And I just want to tell anybody, like, if you've ever started a new job, whether it be in retail or whatever, those POS systems can all be wildly different. What you think may apply in one does not apply to another. Now, this next part is also wild to me. Ms. Sachi confirmed that the person in charge of receiving the inquiry on the ground under Article 8.5 of the FIG technical regulations entered the application on the spot electronically and was not in charge and or did not monitor compliance with the 1-minute rule and was in fact not part of FIG as respondents had confirmed the previous day in response to the inquiry of the panel. So they ask her, and who was the person that received the verbal inquiry and placed it electronically? Who is that person? And Donatella says, the name, I don't know, honestly, because these, at the Olympic Games, there are a group of people called the NTOs, National Technical Officials, that are appointed by the local organization.
Yeah, so this was, as I understand it, this was some judge. It was a judge. It was a gymnastics judge provided by the French Fed.
Like just some random judge.
Yeah.
So she says,
so all the timing judges, all the line judges, and all of these sort of minor officials were provided by the French Fed.
They were allocated.
Yeah.
So when I received the complete list of people, I checked that they have their international judges brevet for that competition. Then it's up to the local organization to assign the people to the different functions. So there is one group that is working as real judge placed on the line on time, and these they give me the names and they appear named in the judges panels. And there is another group that is we call assistant that are the secretaries, the person putting the vault numbers and 2 persons as inquiry officer. They receive instructions from Omega, not me taking care of them. So if you want to know who this person is, you can ask the local organizers. Like she's like, listen, I don't know who this person is. I've never met them. Like they were on the
went
list.
back to their home planet. I mean, the reality is it was some French brevet judge.
Yeah.
But like, no one is saying that this is a good thing.
No.
This is not Cass's fault that they can't find this person.
And it's not necessarily Donatella's fault either.
I mean, I think Donatella's fault was crediting the stupid Gojin.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But I want to point out that there are a lot of, like, there were failures by multiple, like, a million little failures by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the gymnasts suffered for this, and no one says that that's right or just, and Cass doesn't say that that's right or just.
Squishy, it is in this document where it says that.
So let's go back and talk about email addresses.
Yes. Okay. So
because
I saw someone online say
because this is getting into what so why don't you say what your understanding of USAG and USOPC's issue with email addresses was?
So apparently, well, let me get a joke out. Someone said that they might have emailed the agricultural department at the U.S. government because USAG, like ag, and that's, I mean, I see that. I live in the South.
So I can't hear you. You're roboting.
I'm roboting. Is this better? Hello, is this better? Tell me when to stop talking and tell me when it's better. La 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 la.
Yeah.
I'm better?
Okay. So can you tell me about email addresses?
Yes. So someone online said that they may have emailed the agricultural department of the U.S. government on accident because USAG. And in the South, I'm very used to seeing that because agriculture is a big part of where I live. And so joke aside, I believe that they're supposed to give a list, in the forms that you submit for the CAS, it tells you to like submit links or like pages that they can find the information on. So what I think happened is that they went on the USOPC's list and whoever was their contact for USA Gymnastics was just incorrect, not updated. Am I wrong to believe that? Monitoring performance issues.
So here's what I want to propose to you.
Okay.
So how do you think CAS gets email addresses from people?
They submit them when you file this. You have to submit a whole like slew of like where they can find the content information if you don't have it at your disposal.
So, CAS got their from someone in delegation.
Yeah.
And I've seen people say them the wrong email or Cass typed in the emails wrong. And I'm like, somebody typing in the emails wrong could happen on both ends of that. I'm not saying the US did it. I'm not saying Cass did it. I'm saying there's an error here could have just as easily been on the US side.
Yeah, here's that shall be rejected and
what
will
I
be
don't
rejected
think
thing.
you can excuse. Like, what I don't think you can excuse is USOPC not showing up to the fucking hearing.
Yeah, so there it is.
And then talking all this smack about how they're standing up and defending Jordan.
It says USOPC who received the link.
I think what happened. Yeah.
Who received the link to connect to the video hearing did not attend. It did not give any explanation for such absence, nor did it contact the CAS ad hoc division anymore at any time until the conclusion of the proceedings.
So basically, I think what happened is USOPC figured that this was the field of
You're roboting.
And what I want to point out is, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I don't think USOPC took this seriously until they lost.
Yeah.
I think they thought this was a field of play decision, that it was going to get thrown out. And then they panicked and talked all about how they were all about defending Jordan and defending their athletes after they'd already lost, when they could have done things before and during this hearing. And I want to point out, USOPC is the organization from the Nassar scandal that suffered the fewest consequences. And they got to play the good guy, an adult in the all the time. I'm going to give you two examples of this.
When they tried to certify USAG, right?
So what's your example?
Oh, when they tried to decertify USAG as a Olympic. When they tried to decertify USAG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did that, and the things, all of the confidential settlements, of which the USOPC was part of too.
Yeah. And
the second one I will give you is for also involving that, saying that in picking Mary Bono was a terrorist, recommended Mary Bono.
I heard Mary Bono and that's it. Are you on Wi-Fi?
Recommended Mary Bono.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
I am not on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Let me turn off. I'm not.
Okay.
It was USOPC, and then they used that to say talking wild shit. Oh, people should
okay. So we heard none of that? I'm here. Oh. Huh. It sounds like you're being kidnapped from us by a toaster. Yeah, we can't hear anything you're saying, Catherine. It's like someone's trying to silence her.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you back. Yes, queen.
Okay. So I restarted the Twitch app.
Oh, fantastic.
So
last we heard was
USOPC.
Mary Bono. Yes, Mary Bono.
Yeah. Mary Bono was a recommendation of USOPC. And then they used Mary Bono failing magnificently because Simone was like, this is bullshit.
Oh, the Nike thing. It was a Nike thing. It was a Nike thing.
Right. It was the Nike thing.
Yeah.
So like they were behind a bunch of the shit during the Nassar scandal and then got to play the adults in the room. And that's what they're doing this time too. They didn't show up to this hearing. They didn't take this seriously. And now they're putting out all of these public statements about how Cass is evil and corrupt. And they're fighting for their athlete when they didn't bother to fight for Jordan during the hearing.
Yeah, at all. Like, you weren't even there, bro. Like, how can you, like, pretend like you, it's what is the word? It's performative. It's performative.
Yeah, it's very performative.
Yeah.
So the US, we're going to go to what the US says happened. So,
I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
So I want you to count how many times in this fucking document it says the following thing. Okay. It is. Okay. It's okay here. At the outset of the hearing, the parties were requested whether they had any objection as to the constitution of the panel. All parties declared that they were satisfied with the composition of the panel and had no objection, okay? This means Zakaravi, who has acted as or been in arbitration for Romania in the past, that they were okay with that because they have to disclose their involvement. There's three, the disclosure.
Yeah, he did disclose.
Yeah.
What USAG said is that so USAG and USOPC are two different parties here.
Yeah. And it says US Gymnastics, which is not their name.
Yeah. So USAG says they did not get that disclosure. USOPC did. What I'm going to tell you is I think that disclosure is probably the thin sliver of a case they have.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to go anywhere because
they agreed to it several times.
Well, also, and there's nowhere in this case that he agreed with the Romanians.
Yeah.
Like, none of the Romanians' evidence made it in here. And what the Romanians were asking for was a shared medal.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they USAG and the RFG both said, let's just share the medal. And that's under the Fair Play Act, right? Or the Fair Play...
Yeah. Like... This is Fig in the IOC who Cass offered to mediate sharing the medal.
Yeah, it was here it is.
So I think as a procedural ground,
there it is.
That conflict of interest question is like the narrow sliver that the US has. I just don't think it's gonna rise to this because in Switzerland the appeal is under something called the right to a fair hearing. And in Swiss law, that's a very, very high bar.
Yeah, like what they're... So Romania here says, the applicant's request to apply for the fair play principle and award the third place to Ms. Charles, Ms. Menica-Bonea, and Ms. Barbosu. Yet this...
So we're going to throw out Sabrina because that was never going to happen.
Yeah. Yet this followed conciliation process resulting in a consent award between the parties under the supervision of the CAS. In the present case, when presented with an opportunity to agree to a consent award, which would make bronze medals to Ms. Charles and Ms. Barbosu, the FIG declined to do so.
Yeah, so the villain here is the FIG.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the US really was disserviced by the email thing, and I'm not convinced that they weren't responsible for the email thing.
Right.
But also these ad hoc hearings are designed to happen in 24 hours, and they basically got 22 hours.
And the thing is, yeah, they filed for extensions, and they were awarded extensions because of the situation with the emails. It says it in the form, like at the beginning.
So, when in a legal document, it's often said that that's cured.
Yeah.
And I think that problem was cured. So I think the only thing they have left to stand on is the conflict of interest thing. And I just don't think that's going to rise to a level of 7 cases in 2000 plus.
It's an uphill battle.
Overturned.
And I don't think that the proof, because USAG, let's get into what USAG says. USAG says they have substantial evidence that it was submitted at 47 seconds and then at 55 seconds. But their substantial evidence is never going to survive the official timing. Right, because isn't like their evidence like some fan in the crowd had like meta tags? Their
evidence is some kind of video. It's either a fan's video. They said that it's audio. I've heard what I've heard suggested is that Cecile was mic'd for Simone's documentary as a suggestion.
Yeah.
But if that's what it is, then there's absolutely no excuse for USAG to say they were unaware of it.
Right. And here's the thing. I don't trust Cecile.
Well, Cecile admitted that the inquiry officer entered the inquiry right away.
Exactly.
So, like, Cecile sealed this case for them when she said that he did it immediately.
And that part is here. Like, it's documented here. It's because they mentioned her. There it is. The panel was surprised the FIG was not able to identify the person who recorded the information as to time, and that no clear established mechanism appeared to be in place to address so important a matter as the timing of a request for an inquiry. In the course of the hearing, which ran for more than 4 hours, the panel put questions to Ms. Donatella Sacchi and to Ms. Cecile Cancato-Lendi, who is Ms. Child's coach, and engaged in exchanges with the counsel for respondents. And it says here, Cecile, where's Cecile's answers?
So she says that the inquiry officer submitted the thing immediately.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. So this is why we're basically saying that this is a horrible case, but it's not complicated.
No, it's not. It's pretty shut in, like open and shut, honestly.
So let's I'm going to name an organization or a person, and you can tell me how they failed the gymnasts.
Okay.
Okay,
let's do it.
Camelia Varnea.
Camelia Varnea failed her daughter by not letting her train with Patrick at whatever, the Round Lake or whatever it is that they train at. She failed her by not understanding the rules of how to submit an inquiry for neutral deductions. She failed by being so driven by ego that she pushed her daughter way too far. And in this... Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Oh, and in this situation...
So how did...
She failed her by wearing really bad lipstick. Go ahead.
Okay. Conjure I will...
One more time. Hello? Okay. I can hear you now. Go for it.
How did Cecile fail her
Cecile?
gymnast?
Okay, perfect. I love this question. One, she failed her gymnasts by allowing them to continue to perform skills that they have been under-rotated and not credited this entire fucking season. And even before that season, the season before last, and the one after that, with that hop L turn and now the Gaussian. If your gymnast cannot, and this is for all gyms across the entire sport, if you are even remotely undercooked on that fucking Gaussian, don't fucking do it. Don't do it. One, built-in deductions, and two, with the adrenaline of the competition, there's a chance that you will not get it around. It's a 1.5 twist in the air. What do you think you're doing? Okay.
So let me give you a more immediate one.
Okay.
They knew the Gaussian was a problem. They had pre-filled out the inquiry form.
Yeah.
As soon as they saw the score, she should have been fucking running.
Like ear pocket.
Not standing around for 45 seconds.
Hugging her, looking at the score, being like, oh, how sad. Like, no, you have that paper in your hand. It is pre-filled. Go get your ass to the table.
Yeah, there was a reason it was pre-filled.
Yeah, 1,000%.
How did the inquiry officer fail the gymnast?
listen, I'm not gonna fault that man or that woman. I can't fault that person. Like, they were allocated. They were happy to be there. You know what I mean? Eating baguettes, wearing berets in Paris. You know, I can't fault the person. If anything, I fault them for not being more aware of their position in all of this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So Cecile failed by using the word immediately, and they're not going to be able to put that back in the bottle.
Yeah, they're not.
So how did the structure of the FIG and the IOC in having this Omega system fail the gymnasts?
That's a loaded question. Okay, so first and foremost, the FIG failed by one, not having the processes in place laid out like ironclad as far as inquiries go. Like, that is, like you said, house of cards, like that person said. And
those rules need to be rewritten
from the ground up. And you know what? Throw out the fucking entire code, rewrite it from the ground up. There needs to be change, and this is the perfect time. Much like with Rhythmic and what's going on there, this is the perfect time to do it. Throw out the entire fucking thing, rewrite it from the ground up. Yes, Squishy is my next point. Sponsorship contracts are fucking evil. It is the reason why gymnastics is fucking ran by NBC. It is because NBC is the sponsor of the Olympics, and they are the broadcasters. Okay, that ends in 2036, by the way. But sponsorship contracts, them having to use the phone on the stand on the podium, that was a fucking like flip phone, that a smart flip phone, that's sponsorship thing. The Omega thing is a sponsorship thing. The every single fucking thing you see in the Olympics, if you see a brand on there, it's they paid to be there. Okay, and that means that somewhere, somehow, some athlete has something of that a sponsor on them or with them, or, you know, having to do things as a result of.
So how did Donatella fail the gymnast?
See, I don't think she did. Well, no, she did. By crediting that fuck-ass Gojin. Yes, you're right. By crediting that fuck-ass Gojin, yeah, Donatella did kind of do wrong by people. But at the same time, I feel like it was her being like, well, it's the Olympics, it's whatever. Yeah, credit. Like, and that's not how you should judge.
It's not.
But I understand.
She was a tired puppy at the end of the day.
She was being Nona.
But that was still a failure, and
it was.
And there are people who say that Gojin wouldn't have been credited if she wasn't an American, and I have trouble arguing against that.
Yeah. Like, she would have not credited with anybody else. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And the fact that we have all these American fans who are screaming about how...
Well, if it was Flavia, she'd give it to Flavia. But Flavia would never under-rotate a Gojin.
Flavia wouldn't do it the Gojin.
Period.
So, the...
USWC?
How did Cass...
Oh, how did Cass
fail?
How did Cass
fail the gymnasts?
I don't think Cass failed the gymnasts. I think Cass did what they do. Cass worked as a mechanism, as instructor to work.
I do think that there was a failure here, and I think it was not sending this to the regular panel.
Yeah, I can see that.
There was no need to finish this case in the ad hoc panel before the end of the Olympics.
Although in this argument, it does say that they would like for this thing to be over before the end of the Olympics. It's at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that they could have solved a lot of the U.S.'s objections by sending this to the regular panel, and they didn't.
They did not, yeah.
But that's also within their rights. So how did the Romanian Federation fail their gymnasts?
It's going to be controversial. I think the Romanian Federation failed their gymnasts by one...
I'm getting myself up.
Yeah, go for it. One, they failed them by... Oh, this is a loaded question. Okay. Let me say this diplomatically. One, they failed them by not protecting them from their own media, and this goes back to Ana Barbosu. Two, they failed the gymnasts by allowing the stars of their sport to try to enact a coup against the current coaches. Three, I think they failed their gymnasts, especially Sabrina, by not forcing their hand and making her train at Round Lake, right? At Round Lake with the rest of the girls, and in this situation, I think they failed them by not being realistic about what their reasoning was for this this whole thing. Like, it goes back and forth between Sabrina and then them not having any ground to stand on that. So then it's relying on Barbosu, and it was just the objective was to get back their medal. And I can't say that there's a failure, but it was very aggressive, and even in the way this is fouled, like the cast points out that certain things that they failed to do. Deva, right? Deva, you're right, Deva. That's it. My Deva, not Round Lake. Deva, you're right.
So, for how to use USAG did not argue this case very well.
No, they did not. They were very submissive.
Like, they seem very Keystone Cops.
Yeah. What's a Keystone Cop?
There are places where I think they could have challenged the old timey silent movies where the cops are kind of slapsticky.
Yeah. Is that what a Keystone Cop is?
That's a Keystone Cop.
Really?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that. In my head, I thought it was a cop that was against prohibition or something. It's Keystone Beer.
No, that it was a comedy troupe of movie cops.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. Okay, wow. You learn something new every day.
So the USAG just did not argue any of these things well. Cecile should never have, USAG's lawyers should have told Cecile never to say the word immediately.
Yeah, where is all the media training? That's what I'm wondering.
And USOPC failed by not showing up.
Oh, USOPC failed by not showing up, by them all taking trips to Paris, but when it came time to work, no one did anything. No one did shit.
Literally every non-gymnast in this scenario fucked the gymnast over somehow.
Oh, absolutely. And not to mention, even in Shakara Richardson's case, USOPC should have been there. Should be like, no, if they could enter this way for the entire fucking week leading up to this competition, they should be able to enter through this entrance. Not making them walk 3 fucking miles and missing their warm-up. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. So can we now turn to something happy and give me let's do our 5 favorite things on the Olympics, and we'll alternate. So what was your first 5 favorite things in Olympics?
Okay, so starting with one of my favorite things is not my least. I'm not ranking them in order of importance. These are just they're in no order.
Off the top of our heads, we didn't prepare.
Yeah, we didn't prepare. The streams with you guys, having everybody just show up in troves, and the French fans being in the streams and seeing all the international flavor. I'm getting goosebumps. I love the feeling of the world coming together in dark times, because we were going through a lot of times right now, but just seeing each and every one of you just come together in the chat, and seeing all the French in the chat, seeing the Portuguese in the chat, the German, it was just it made me remember why I do this and why I will continue to do this for the time being, because this means more to me than anything in my life. This gives me purpose in a sense, in a way that is unlike anything I've ever done before. And the fact that I am you guys give me that privilege is not lost on me. It was just, I was so humbled by all the love and support, and just not just for me, but for the gymnasts. That was awesome. So that's my number 5, I guess.
So my number 5 is the 1-2 hit of Kaylee and Nemor, followed by, say her name.
Shashua. Yeah, Shashua, something like
that. Those 2 bars routines hit to their best abilities, back to back, just insane.
It was so good. And they were not allowed to attend. They were under the impression it was only the medalists, but all the Olympic team from the entire continent of Philippines were there. And that is on their coordinator, and that should be investigated, because that was fucked up.
Yeah, on the Fed.
Yeah, on the Fed.
So here, and I doubt that they were the only Filipino Americans on that team, so I would want to know if other Filipino Americans were there.
Yeah.
So here's my next one.
Steven Nedorosik. We have shit on him. More Steven Nedorosik.
And Steven and Nurmang Kurbanov lifting up Reese so he could do leg lifts between them.
Oh, it was just so great. It was so great. So yeah.
So my third one is I'm going to dip into rhythmic.
Oh, please. Like, what?
For like 2 or 3 minutes.
Before even the cheering her own win. That doesn't happen,
and
y'all.
then they both got up and cheered her win.
Like that
Margot,
is class.
Like snapped out of it fairly fast. Like and then
Darja
they went
is all of 17, right?
Yeah, she's 17. So like we saw a hint of this like earlier in the year when like Kolosov won the German championship and the person most excited for her was
Darja. It's like
right. So like
man,
if you're gonna look at someone's character, like sports, like it's so funny when you think about Tokyo and rhythmic was the like example of no one has good sportsmanship.
My
and here,
God.
Anyway, so that's my like. I'm in love with Darja. She is an amazing sportsman. I want Margarita Kolosov to continue because if she's like can continue this form, she's gonna be a world beater.
And just add a little bit more difficulty, maybe a little bit more, a better execution. She's there. She's not far off.
I mean, she's very close right now. I mean, she's traditionally just messed up one apparatus.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're second.
This is kind of weird,
You've
but
got 2 more.
Flavia's injury and the way she just bounced back and how badass she looked the rest of the competition. I mean,
and think about like how we remember her in Rio as like little Flavia. Who looks like it. And
this was war. This was like out in the battleground. This was a woman, grown ass woman, Flavia, putting on performance of her life for her country after like literally kneeing herself in the brow, like having to get like a stent, like things put on there so like it would stop bleeding. Like she looked like a badass. But everybody like you know how the Che Guevara shirts everybody has? No, put Flavia in their place because that is what you do. I mean. Yeah, but like that is just like
she didn't have a great Olympics, but she had a great image.
I mean, listen, she did the routine she could. That beam routine and what was it? Was it team fight? The one that was beautiful. I mean,
she's an Olympic medalist, so I'm sure she's happy. But
yeah, and she'll be back.
She didn't individually have a great Olympics, is what I mean.
Yeah, which.
So my second is also going to come from rhythmic.
Okay.
The Chinese winning the first ever non-European gold medal in that sport.
That was awesome.
Sorry, not the first ever. There was a Canadian in 1984, but that doesn't count because it was 1984.
Like that was an awesome. Different guts.
Okay, so your last one.
I mean, we talked about how this is sort of marred by that whole situation, but like that podium when Jordan and Simone bowed to Rebecca was awesome. Like, that was awesome. Like, knowing Rebecca's story, I'm going to get emotional. Knowing Rebecca's story and how she started having to walk to the gym, like her mom, like, growing up in the favelas, and now seeing her with a brand new car,
My last one is going to be not as like groundbreaking, not as amazing. It was my favorite little 16-year-old who showed up.
Helen Cavrish.
And did like my favorite. This is going to sound like a weird, like she was the best United German ever. She did great. But my favorite thing is, I don't think I talked to you about this. Did you see her post-Olympic interview?
Yeah, she said, you know, I see places that have to be better and know where I can upgrade, and I'm ready to go to LA. Like,
no, it's not even I know where I can upgrade. That was fun. I didn't expect that. It was a great experience. I have to emotionally process it. And I have 4 years of upgrades planned.
Like, in that, my friends, it's called pacing.
That's pacing. That was her putting down the marker that this was not what she was pacing for. She's pacing for LA, and I can't wait to see this next quad.
Because there's gonna be a battle for that.
I can't wait to see.
Like,
it's like Jessica got a
yeah,
like.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. But let's do a road ahead. We have the Donatella interview. I've been in contact.
Here's my question.
Okay.
So we're not going to talk about the floor final at all, guys. So don't expect anything related.
Okay.
So Donatella interview when?
I talked to Tiki about this. I counsel with everybody in my life about it. I stand looking at this interview in three ways. One, as someone, you guys know like my background in growing up. Like, I am part of a very big journalistic family. Like, I try to uphold those principles and whatnot. And so I know that in regards to that, I have a responsibility to the ideals and morals I have to ask the hard questions, and because we want answers. Two, I see it as a human being that I wouldn't want to put her in a situation that's prepared.
She's not going to answer any of them because she's in a legal case.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to put someone in that situation.
And she didn't agree to this email and this.
Yeah, and the thing
and also we asked this. We asked for this interview so that she could help people understand artistry. The coming code.
Yeah, an artistry, like. And so, like, I mean, I see as a human being, like, I wouldn't want anybody to put me in that situation. It wouldn't be a gotcha interview, and I wouldn't want to put anybody in that sort of situation either. And third, I see it as a gym fan, and why wouldn't I ask the questions, and why wouldn't I put her in a situation, because these effects are longstanding. And in that, my resolve is I'm going to conduct this interview in the way in which it was agreed. And I'm going to just ask questions as they come up. Like, I mean, I do have a file full of questions that people have submitted. I'm going to curate that. And then we're going to start with her career. We're going to then segue into artistry and then the code ahead. So that's going to be the three stages of the interview. And so
that is the scope agreed to.
When is the interview? I'm not sure. It will be in the next coming weeks. I don't want to put a date on it because I haven't got a date back from her. She's on vacation right now, a well-deserved vacation, and so we'll see when it will happen. And do you want to talk about Worlds? That format, that fuck ass format.
So the Worlds in 2025. Every federation can send 3 gymnasts. The gymnasts can only do 2 apparatus each. Sorry, not that 2 apparatus each. Each apparatus, they can only put 2 gymnasts up. So they can either send 1 all-arounder and 2 specialists, 2 all-arounders, or 3 specialists.
Boo.
One of the things I keep seeing is all of these U.S. gymnasts are going to the world. I'm like, no, all of those gymnasts are 3 people on for every
federation. Which I
expanded the 20. So now there are 6 of them instead of 4.
And the thing is, like, this is what happens when the post-Olympic Worlds is not only expensive, but not a team championships. Because, I mean, the one people want to host is the team championships. It's a... So Squishy says, I really suspect that the U.S. women are going to send 2 all-arounders, and that's it. I think of it differently. I think they'll send 1 all-arounder and then 2 event specialists.
I think there's going to be a lot of controversy over whether the U.S. sends 2 all-arounders or not.
I think they're going to send 1 all-arounder and 2 event specialists. Yeah. But I'm not budging on that. Why? And who would that be? Listen, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know who that would be. At this point in time, I don't know.
We have no idea who's going to be injured or who's going to be back or whatever.
Because saying Connor is the one that could maybe see.
We just know that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I could be back by Worlds.
Shaq could be back by Worlds. Connor could be back by Worlds.
Because that's 15 months.
Yeah. But I don't see anybody like I don't see anybody like Kelly DiCello. That's too early. That would be asking a mole out of what is it? A mountain out of a molehill.
No, I mean for Kayla, that's still 15 months on an. Kayla DiCello is still 15 months on a Achilles, so that's plenty of time.
That's true. I just, I think the thing with injuries and me is that I still think of them as like back in my day, like in 2008, like how like an Achilles took at least a year, an ACL took at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And I forget things have progressed.
But DiCello has more than a year. Shai has more than a year.
Yeah. Claire Pease.
So that's my... Claire Pease is going to be lucky if she is paced to not burn out.
True. We get Maggie next year. We get Maggie.
So... Oh, yes, we get Maggie Haney back next year.
That's going to be
wild. Get ready for that.
It's going to be wild. What is the next gymnastics we have?
It's going to be wild. So the next gymnastics we have is a couple answers.
Okay.
So the next big meet is the Sambathli World Challenge Cup in October.
Ooh. We like that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice small meet.
Yeah.
It's going to not be...
Ila Compton is going that.
Of course he is.
Of course he is.
The two their memorial and
I heard Arthur Grander Memorial, and that was all I heard because he roboted. Swiss Cup. Swiss Cup.
Swiss Cup and Andrade is apparently going.
Oh, to what? To Swiss Cup?
Andrade is apparently going to Swiss Cup.
Oh, really? For that money. That money's a lot of money.
So Swiss Cup is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Swiss Cup's
yeah. The first elite thing that is happening is actually the Bundesliga has 3 regular season meets and a final to go to. So there's going to be like a bunch of Bundesliga in the fall.
Oh, fun!
And that meet is September 14th.
Oh, so it's in a month.
So like in less than a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I should let everybody go because it's 10 o'clock my time.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you all for listening to us talk about cats.
Hopefully,
I know we didn't say things that people want to hear, but
yeah. Well, I just fell. Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate everything you do for us, and y'all. Because of your patronage, because of you guys subscribing, we were able to help Catherine out with her rent. So I just I want everybody to clap a little bit for that. It's usually we donate the money to an organization of some sort. Yeah. So this time around, it was Catherine was the benefactor of that. So
I needed it this month. It was good. Thank you.
Yeah. So Catherine, if I could, thank you, Catherine. If I could add a couple of zeros to that or a few zeros to that, I would. But, we do what we can. So thank you for joining us, Catherine. To you at home, once again, listen, this entire situation is complicated, but also it's not. I know our feelings complicate that a lot, but we have to understand that, as Catherine said and pointed out, the way this was decided was because of what is written down and the processes at hand. And unfortunately, that is compounded by a massive failure on the entities end, like the organizations at hand, USOPC, FIG, and those alike. There is not one singular person that is responsible for what happened here at all, nor should we sit here and point fingers, because what's been established is that the people at the helm of these organizations failed immensely on all fronts. Okay, I have to clean this, but immensely on all fronts. And with that said, like, it's shitty. It is. It was shitty for Anna when she lost the medal in real time. We saw that happened. It was shitty to strip Jordan of her medal days after the fact, and it was shitty that Sabrina's mom did not know she didn't contest the introduction in the avenues presented to her and available to her in time. What's even shittier is the behavior I've seen from so many of you, whether, I mean, myself included in some capacity, whether it's outright just, if I see the term DEI Olympics one more time, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Like, what are you even talking about? What are you even talking about? Like, it's, if you want to direct your anger, direct it at USAG, direct it at FIG, but don't ever think it's okay to direct it at the gymnasts themselves. Like, in no way, shape, or form are these gymnasts responsible for what their federations do or how they act or what they say. Like, and calling, and like, okay, as an American, I understand there's a certain level of like entitlement Americans have, but to accuse Jordan of saying that because she isn't verbally like voicing her support for the gymnasts doesn't make her entitled, doesn't make her not humble. Like, that's just, this is a person having to process racism and trauma in real time. Like, it is disgusting what people are doing. And I think it is the perfect time and place to really reevaluate the parasocial relationships we have with the athletes of this sport as well as with each other. Like, bringing up stupid shit like Jordan's mom or her race or just things of that nature, which are very important to her, it says more about you than it will ever say her or anything else. It says more about you and your lack of character than it does her or Sabrina or Anna, or even just being nasty on behalf of Anna and Sabrina. They wouldn't want that, one. And two, again, this is more about you and your lack of character than anything else. And so with that, I bid you adieu. I guess we can stop speaking French now, right? Because we're onwards and forward to LA. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the little skits I made. I thought they were hilarious. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, if no one has told you today, I think you're awesome. I think you're incredible. I think everything you want and aspire to and have passion for in this life are so important, and you should never give up on them. And if you ever need support of any kind, I'm here. You send me your stuff. I would love to see your stuff. And yeah, take care of yourself. Make sure you wash your face, wash your booty, brush your teeth, drink water, and what's the other one? Don't put anything in your mouth that isn't wrapped. No, that's not it. All right. Take care of yourself. Oh no, that's all I have. Have a great flippin' Sunday. I will see you on the next one. Hopefully we'll have all the issues resolved. I should just stick to OBS, but I love the multi-stream function that Streamlabs has, because I can stream to Instagram and TikTok. We'll figure it out at some point, or I will. So yeah, with that said, I will leave you with the new intro. Oh, I'm not going to do that, actually. I'm just going to leave you. I love you. Okay? Take care of yourself. Bye.